Great. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining. Going to get started in just a moment. I hope you're having a good morning at school. Okay, great. It is past 8:30, so I am going to make a start just so that we've got enough time to run through everything. My name's Sophie. I'm the head of outreach and delivery at Uptree, and I'm also joined by Valeria, who's my colleague who works in the outreach and delivery team. And we've got a really exciting session this morning, all about how to build students' commercial awareness and thinking about different resources that we can share with students to support them thinking about their futures, but also thinking about how they can kind of upskill and build their knowledge for their personal statements, or if they are economic students, for example, or if they're thinking about applying for apprenticeships as well. So we just wanted to reflect a little bit on some of our successes as the Uptree team in the last term, and a lot of this has only been thanks to all of the work that we do with schools and all of the support that we have from schools and teachers in making sure that students can attend our sessions. So just in term one, we have had 54 experiences of work, and we've worked with two different key stages, which has been really exciting. That's actually a new sort of project for us, working with year 10s and 11s to connect them with employers. Just across term one, we've connected 2,300 students to our work experience program, which is obviously a really fantastic number, and supporting them with those opportunities. We've also successfully launched our first university program, which is really exciting. Valeria, who's actually on the call, supported with working with a lot of those partners and really, really successful work that we did with Deloitte and Peel Hunt there. And as of today, we have supported 2,900 students who are now in early careers roles with our employer partners, having completed some of our work experience programs as well. So just wanted to share some of those successes from term one. Fantastic. So, as you will have seen, what we are aiming to do today is to support your students to build their commercial awareness. So, we're going to be sharing resources for students to help build their knowledge, and to offer some sort of tangible tips from our employers to gain insights about the kinds of things that they might be looking for applicants to stand out. These can also obviously be used for actions for students in their personal statements, which they'll obviously be writing now, depending on when your deadlines are in school. Either they'll be writing them now or over the holidays, but I know the deadline is obviously January. So hopefully there'll be some key takeaways for your students as they're working on those. We'd like to obviously share some sort of top tips for students to build their knowledge and understanding of different industries, and just to build students' confidence as well, giving them some different ways to learn, and to build their confidence for university or apprenticeship interviews and applications as well. So we're going to jump straight into it. So one of the first ones, and we have so many students who are interested in business and finance. This is one of the industries, obviously, that students are hungry for work experience in. So we've been working with Peel Hunt this term, and they have got some really, really great resources for students to build their commercial awareness. They're an investment bank, and we work with them mainly in London. They say that they look for motivated, ethical people with sharp minds, strong communication skills, and a genuine interest in business. And one of the things that we often hear from our employers, especially from students who might represent sort of lower socioeconomic backgrounds, is that actually in their applications to apprenticeships and roles, where they tend to fall down is not having that wider commercial awareness and that sort of wider cultural capital. So this is exactly why we've put this together today, so that then we can share some resources for them. So Peel Hunt have got a YouTube channel, they've got a podcast channel and a LinkedIn channel. And again, I'm going to be sharing all these links in an email that will go out at the end of the session today. In there are a range of different conversations, a range of different sort of articles that can be used to develop students' knowledge of the banking industry. In a similar vein, we've got JP Morgan Chase, so again, another big employer that we work with in private banking. They have a link to their insights section on their website, where There are lots of different articles, all to do with the finance industry, all to do with trends, the stock market, and some sort of advice pieces on there as well. So students can use this to have a look through, think about things that are interested to them. They can refer to those in applications. They could refer to them in their personal statements as well, if economics and finance is something that they were interested in going into. Similarly, and again, this will be the case with all of our employers, but they all have newsletters. So students can go direct to the employer's website that they're interested in. And here, there's lots of different types of newsletters that they could sign up to. So there's weekly ones, there's bi-weekly ones, monthly ones, and they can sort of choose the ones that they want to hear from in that way. Again, I'll send all the links to this in the follow-up email. So we also work with KPMG, who are a huge professional services company. So obviously they work in sort of auditing, deal advisory, business services, and law. So again, a range of different departments. And again, one of our sort of most popular employers that we find with students. So really competitive, and they'll be really honest about that. So will we. So what are the things that students can do to set themselves apart? Again, they have a sort of an insights page on their website where they have a webinar. This takes place monthly with different themes. These are quite challenging. So these are for people sort of working in the industry already, but such a great way for students if they are interested to learn about what are the conversations that are happening within their industry, what are the kind of key takeaways that they can have from that as well. So they'll hear from leaders in the industry talking about different topics. Again, we always have questions from students about AI. So there's a link there about how can AI be reliable and how is it used in these kind of industries as well. So they would register on LinkedIn. I could sign up independently for that. They also have a podcast which is called Pull Up a Chair, which is from a leader within KPMG, someone called Bina Mehta, and she discusses again sort of thematic topics with different leaders within the industry and talking about challenges, talking about different points, talking about sustainability, people, the planet, profit. And again, I'm sure there'll be a lot of takeaways in there that can support with students to develop their knowledge. Again, another really interesting company that we work with is Coca-Cola or CCUP. So this is more sort of manufacturing, and we work with students on their sites doing site tours and learning more about how that kind of industry works. Again, I spent quite a lot of time just looking through the website here, and there's some really, really interesting topics. They have a sort of brand spotlight so the one here that says Meet the Brands, where they'll talk about the new brands that they're working with and their mission and their goals and how they set themselves apart. So again, a really, really great way for students to show off their knowledge of like what are the new brands that are coming out, what are the new companies that Coca-Cola is supporting. And then again, they've got sort of an insight section on their website, everything to do with how they work sustainably across different cultures and regions. There's a really interesting article here about sustainability and working with farmers in Australia as well. So again, all of this will be linked in the follow-up email. Now, our law partners are some of the ones who have some really, really interesting links and articles and sections on their websites as well. As a kind of general overview to build commercial awareness, there's a really great podcast here, which is the Commercial Awareness Compass podcast. That's just sort of general overview, insights into the law industry, discussing, topical affairs, but for more specific employer-related articles. A&O Sherman have got a career guide all about what commercial awareness is, how to build it. So that could also almost be sort of a starting step for students before they set out some of these more specific actions. Mission de Rea as well have got a podcast there. And a lot of these, so the Solicitor Apprentice podcast is specifically for those who are of that sort of early career age. So so they have discussions with those who are in the early career space at Mission de Rea. So it's a little bit more age appropriate. Again, Travis Smith and Linkletters are two that we work really closely with, and they've both got great podcasts and videos at their knowledge pages. interesting that there's not so many companies that I could find that have videos. So Travis Smith, actually both of them have some really interesting videos that obviously just sort of support a different way of learning there. So a good one to check out. And again, similarly to the Mission de Raya podcast, Baker McKenzie have got another one where they have sort of leaders and more experienced professionals talking to the more trainee and early career, like less experienced members of the company, and they talk a little bit about like problems and things that kind of come up, and they have little tests and games and discussions in that way. So again, a really interesting one to hear about what life's really like as a trainee and that kind of culture that they've built there, which is really interesting. One that I really, really, if you know, if there's one takeaway from the session today, it's this one, which is something called Little Law. And while this is focused specifically on the law industry, it's actually really, really great for building a sort of foundational level of commercial awareness across a lot of different industries and sort of the banking industry, financial services, engineering, and just generally getting a better understanding of kind of how current affairs affect these different industries. So you can see here what it is to us is a newsletter that explores one kind of specific legal case with sort of business impact and how it can affect how it can affect businesses, but also people in their daily lives. So, as an example, in November, you can see a sort of spotlight about the budget and how a student could talk about that in their applications and you actually use that knowledge in a sort of tangible way to express their own knowledge and their own passions. We actually have our head of partnerships, a woman called Mel, who's fantastic, and she used to be a business teacher for about 20 years, and she said that regardless of whether they're interested in law, getting all students who are in sort of business or economics or interested in moving into the sort of corporate sector to sign up to this newsletter just because of that kind of foundational knowledge that it provides. And it is actually used within the law industry with professionals, but equally is a really good way of breaking down quite complex concepts and sharing those sorts of insights. So a really, really good one to sign up to. And then just kind of finishing off with some additional resources, a little bit more miscellaneous. So, ARM, who are an employer that we work with in the sort of tech and engineering space, they have a newsletter which students can sign up to there. Lloyds Banking Group, at the end of one of our work experience programs recently, kind of just shared an overall what to do to set yourself apart kind of piece. So they said obviously they encouraged AI, which most people are encouraging now, but to make sure that everything is checked, fact check, make sure that your punctuation is not clearly generated by AI. There's sort of the hyphens and the punctuation generally, capital letters, American spelling, things like that. Google again, just searching, upskilling, researching as much as possible. ESG reports and looking at sort of sustainability within the different organizations that you're keen to work with. Shareholder reports as well. LinkedIn, following key individuals, people that are inspiring to you, people that you want to learn more about. Looking at different investor reporting websites and news articles as well. There's obviously a lot there. Don't try and do them all. Maybe choose a couple that work for you, and sort of experiment and explore with those different links. By no means do you need to try and like read about all these things today. Just take a couple that are important for you or for your students. Publicist Group as well are a media and marketing firm that we work with. They have an industry newsletter that's called The Drum, and that has kind of key trends in the sector, new tech that they're working with, and innovation that can be a really useful resource. And again, this is just a sort of overall commercial awareness podcast. It's called Commercial Awareness with Watson's daily podcast, and has some really great kind of general overviews and insights into how to build that commercial awareness as well. And then just finally, some quick messages from Uptree before we close and move on to questions. But obviously, as we move into the end of this term, just want to say a huge thank you for your engagement and for supporting all of your students with our programs and for your interest, questions, everything over the last term. Obviously, all the work that we could, all the work that we do, we couldn't do without the fantastic schools that we work with. And again, I was a teacher for 7 years as well, so I know how busy a place schools are, and so really appreciate the time that you take to work with us. We do have a sort of end of term satisfaction survey, and there is space on there to leave feedback about the webinars if you would like to, and to propose any ideas or things that you'd like to hear more about in future sessions. Again, this will all be linked in the email that will follow up the session today. And then just sort of looking ahead to our January events as well, we've got a lot of different events. I've only posted the virtual ones here, just obviously as this is a national webinar today. But we have some really exciting programs coming up. There's Trower and Hamlin, this is a law firm that we work with. KPMG, again, there's a student and parent session there. Again, we would welcome teachers onto that too. So if you were interested in signing up as a teacher, then please let us know via email and we can share the link with you. And then again, NCF are welcoming parents and teachers onto their session at the end of January as well. So some really exciting events there. Obviously, we know as part of the sort of Gatsby benchmarks that teachers are being encouraged to develop their own sort of work experience and commercial awareness too. So please feel free to express your interest to join those sessions as well. So that kind of brings us to the end of that session. We do have some time for questions. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to